You bring up the masks, and I know some places, LA County for one, is interested in bringing them back right now. But based on what I'm hearing, many experts, I think, have conceded that at least the cloth masks are not doing virtually anything to stop the spread. I think there's increasingly questions about whether these restrictions are making much of a difference, and then some of them are, quite difficult for people with disabilities, for children having to wear them in schools. What is your view of ongoing restrictions? Do you still think they're necessary? Would you still recommend those types of things, masks, some social distancing, some shutdown?
It's amazing that this guy works in the media. His job supposedly is to inform the public, and he is years behind in the pandemic. It's 2022. It is past the halfway point of the year, and this guy is talking about cloth masks. He's talking about as if this is new information that cloth masks don't really do much. I saw people on Breaking Points, disappointingly, talking about this ridiculous talking point, which seems to come from the kind of people who are really opposed to masks, so they grasp onto anything that, they can use as ammunition to go against masks. But you can be against masks and be annoyed with masks. I don't think I shouldn't say nobody wants to wear masks. There's some people that have some weird fetish going on, but you can be against masks and annoyed with masks, while at the same time live in a reality-based realm. Cloth masks were never a thing. Cloth masks were never a thing. It was always recommended to wear surgical masks, the best that you can get, N95 being the best, but surgical masks at a minimum. We ran out of inventory, and then this fool over here decided to do his noble lie, which The Hill has accurately called out as far as I've seen, where he pretended like masks don't work. It might block a droplet or two. Like, what? Even a cloth mask would block more than a droplet. Imagine you put on a cloth mask and I spray like one of those spray bottles. You think only a droplet or two will be blocked by this mask? Cloth mask is not very effective. Very porous. A lot of stuff will go through. But even that's going to block more than a droplet or two. So the idea that he said, as a doctor, right, scientific man, they're not supposed to be speaking figuratively and very ambiguously. Supposed to be very precise in their words. He says it might block a droplet or two. So that's when he came with that nonsense, because they had an inventory problem. So we needed a solution. How do we protect our inventory to protect our hospital workers? And once they started being a little bit more honest, because at first they were talking about, nobody should be wearing a mask or whatever, and all that stuff, trying to protect the inventory. But then once they started being more transparent, they're like, okay, let's be honest with the people. Let's try to direct them to alternatives. We're having an inventory problem. Please don't have a run on masks, because our hospital workers need them. Our frontline workers need them. What you can do is, here's ways you can make your own masks. And that was the thing. It was all over the news. You can take a thing, and this is the recommended materials, and do 2 layers, and you can stitch it together, and blah, 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 blah. That was emergency backup plan. That's what that was. That was, we're under attack. We don't have any guns. People are firing at us. Let's get some chairs and tables and put them up on the walls and windows. Someone go outside and grab some stones. Anybody that has rubber bands, we're going to try to make some slingshots. Nobody is saying that trying to fight with guns, against guns with slingshots, and putting up tables on the windows, like that's the way to go. No one is suggesting that is a effective strategy. What they are saying is that's better than nothing. We're not going to stay here and just get killed. We're going to do what we can with what we have. What we had at the time were cloth. Everyone's got cloth. Everyone's got the ability to take materials and put them together, and that was a whole thing, right? But I think what happened is, and the real problem, I hate this, like there's actual real problems to critique. Why can we focus on critiquing reality? The reality is not, they said masks work and they don't actually work. Now we find out that, there's new studies showing that the cloth masks were never a thing, right? Let's critique the real thing. The real thing is, once the inventory got settled, what did they do? That's where the failure comes in. They suggest these alternatives in the middle of a crisis, and then the crisis is over. We now have supplies. Do they now do effective and clear messaging about, okay, guys, the backup mask time is over. Now we need to revert back to what we had said before, which is surgical masks and better. We need to move away from these cloth masks. And there was never strong messaging. It's just kind of like they did this backup thing, and people started getting the cloth masks, and everyone's running out with these cloth masks, and everyone's like, well, the government said to do this, and then now we have inventory, and people just kept doing it. And the government didn't say anything. Nobody said anything. They just let it continue. And then local businesses, they don't really want to harass customers necessarily, but then there's guidances, and they want other customers to feel safe. So I think some of them knowingly took advantage of this, since there was kind of a ambiguity with it. They just kind of like, as long as you got something on your face, you can come in, right? So you could just have like toilet paper on your face, and it's like, hey, come in. And then you got the anti-vax crowd who will jump on that and say, look at this. Look. They pointed stuff out. Like, look, I have the mask under my nose and clearly breathing. I'm breathing into the place. Like, this makes no sense, right? That's why it doesn't make any sense, because some of the businesses were only doing it because they're trying to play this thing of like, if they don't enforce masks, some customers won't feel comfortable, or maybe some places have rules about masks, so it's mandated, so they gotta comply. But they don't really want to do it for different reasons, right? So they let people get away with the minimum. Something's on your face, your masks, technically, right? And then you can see there's no pushback from the government. There's no strong messaging coming from the CDC or whatever saying, hey guys, cloth mask time is over. That never happens. So they keep doing it, and people keep, allowing people to come with all kind of cloth masks here, cloth masks there, and then these guys in the media who, they're supposed to be paying attention and being aware of this and then informing their audience about, hey guys, you should stop wearing cloth masks. Instead, they're in 2022 talking about, oh, and now we're finding out that they're admitting that masks don't work. And even in his saying that, he mentions cloth masks. So he knows enough to know that cloth masks were the problem. But he doesn't know enough to know that you're not supposed to be wearing cloth masks in the first place. That's a from years ago thing that we did in an emergency. And then Fauci is no better. It's just like this country is just a complete disaster at this point. So here's a news guy completely failing at knowing what the hell he's talking about. Here's this guy, one of the highest paid people in our government official on the medical side, right? And he's sitting here in the interview. He talks about like, oh, we have new data. We didn't know about how effective masks could work and this and that and properly fitting. I pointed this out years ago. There were studies from years and years before this pandemic about how effective masks use in the public. And they tested cloth masks, they tested surgical masks, these studies existed before the pandemic. And this fool Fauci pretended like we didn't know. This is a new thing. Pandemic is a new thing. Wearing masks is a new thing. You liar, you fraud. Liar and a fraud, Fauci on the left, and failure media on the right. The blind leading the blind. That is the United States of America in 2022. I really wish we could stop with this nonsense at this point. Everybody, cloth masks were never a thing. They were never a thing. It was a backup. This is years ago. Please catch up to where we're at now in 2022. Masks absolutely work. Many studies were done before this pandemic proving how effective they are. Even cloth masks have a level of effectiveness. They're not useless. They're better than nothing. You might say they're marginally useful, but they do have some level of effectiveness, and this has been tested. Multiple scientists have tested this. Fauci knew this stuff. This is Baby Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. COVID lady, Kim Iverson, she ain't gonna tell you this stuff. I wonder why. And now she's off the hill. I wonder why.